Tonight, a guilty verdict in the fatal beating of a restaurant owner.
Grief that continues every single day where there's no closure. And today you get a little tiny bit of closure.
Reaction from the family of the victim and why the judge rejected the accused's claim of self-defense. Also tonight, new safety officers on the way.
They have defensive weapons, and they have the authority and the ability to safely effect an arrest if necessary, whatever is necessary to maintain a safe situation.
Why Manitoba Hydro is tightening up security at its downtown headquarters. Plus, ready for takeoff.
There's no other feeling in the world when you accomplish your dream, and I'm living proof of that.
We catch up with a First Nations first ever female pilot.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A dangerous person alert lit up cell phones across the province this morning after a woman was abducted from a northern First Nation, and Mounties are still searching for the suspect tonight. Cross Lake RCMP officers were called to a home in Pimicikamak Cree Nation around 5:40 this morning. Police say 39-year-old Joshua Papanakis entered the home and attacked a resident with a hammer before abducting 20-year-old Rianne Thomas at knife point. Police confirmed Papanakis and Thomas are known to each other and consider this to be an act of intimate partner violence, adding Thomas is in immediate danger. Additional officers from Winnipeg have now arrived in the community and are going door to door as the large-scale search continues. While the search is focused in the Pimicikamak area, police say it is possible Papanakis has fled the community. Mounties warn Papanakis is likely armed and dangerous and should not be approached. Anyone who sees him or Thomas is asked to call RCMP at the number on your screen, 204-676-2600. Well, it took more than 2 years, but tonight the family of a Winnipeg restaurant owner killed following a violent confrontation outside his eatery says justice has been served. Today, a judge handed down a guilty verdict for the killing of Kyriakos Voyajakis. CTV's Joseph Bernacki was in the courtroom today and joins us now live. So, Joseph, what was the mood like?
Marilee, the nearly full courtroom was tense before the verdict was read. Then the Voyajakis family sighed with relief as Justice Sadie Bond announced the guilty verdict. Court found that Curtis Ross Dalabozic killed the 51-year-old Voyajakis outside of his restaurant, the Cork and Flame on Portage Avenue. The incident was caught on the restaurant's security camera. That showed a nearly 5-minute altercation between the two men that spiraled out of control.
Today the courts finally stood up for a family, finally made a decision that was right in my mind, in my heart.
More than 2 years to the day after his younger brother Kyriakos was murdered, Michael Voyajakis says he can finally grieve his death after his killer was found guilty of manslaughter.
2 years has been a 2-year struggle, a 2-year grief that continues every single day where there's no closure.
Curtis Ross Dalabozic and Kyriakos Voyajakis came to blows in the early evening of January 24th, 2024. Justice Sadie Bond wrote that security camera footage obtained from the restaurant was the key piece of evidence that led to the guilty verdict. She wrote Voyajakis may have started the fight, but by the end of the tape, he is on the ground and Dalabozic continues to beat him. The threat of force diminished as Mr. Dalabozic held Mr. Voyajakis down and continued to assault him. Mr. Dalabozic's application of force became disproportionate to the diminished threat posed by Mr. Voyajakis and therefore was not reasonable. Court heard that a medical report found blunt force trauma, broken ribs, and asphyxiation led to the heart attack which killed Voyajakis. His brother spoke to reporters outside the courtroom Thursday.
This court decision doesn't bring Kyriakos back, but it brings us a little bit of closure and a little bit of faith in a system that I think is broken.
Justice Bond also found Dalabozic guilty on a single charge of uttering threats. That's related to a Cork and Flame employee named Shanice Powell, who arrived on scene to check on her boss back in 2024. Bond says, according to Powell's testimony during Dalabozic's trial, he swore at her saying, "I know where you work. I'll lay you down too." For Michael Voyajakis, the verdict brings a small amount of comfort for his family.
My poor mom, who's 80, has to live with this every day of the week, knowing that her son is dead.
Dalibozic's defense lawyer declined to comment on the decision, saying the matter is still before the courts. Dalibozic originally pled not guilty, and his lawyers argued he was acting in self-defense. We asked Voyajakis about what happened to the cork and flame after Kyriakis was killed. They say the family continued to run the restaurant for a year and a half after his death, but the place is now under new ownership.
So, Joseph, what comes next for Dalibozic?
Marilee, Justice Bond said on Thursday we can expect sentencing to begin sometime in April.
All right, thanks for this, Joseph. A Winnipeg officer who was at the scene of the fatal police shooting of a 16-year-old First Nations girl thought his life was in danger. Constable Serge Sylvester told an inquest into the death of Aisha Hudson he was standing near the stolen Jeep she was driving when his partner fired the first shot. Sylvester says he tried to apprehend the driver but feared he would be hit when the vehicle started moving backwards in his direction. Hudson was killed in 2020 after the vehicle she was driving was involved in a liquor store robbery and police chase. The inquest, which started Monday, is looking at whether systemic racism played a role in the death and whether the use of force was appropriate. We're learning more today about a propane explosion at a facility in the RM of Taché, which injured 3 people. A provincial spokesperson now confirms that incident last Thursday happened at Prairie Propane in St. Geneviève. And all of the injured people were workers there. They say Manitoba Workplace Safety and Health issued the business 2 stop work orders and an improvement order related to propane service and maintenance and the use of a forklift. They also add an investigation is ongoing. Prairie Propane has not responded to a request for comment. The explosion sent 2 people to hospital, including one who was flown by Stars Air ambulance, while a 3rd person was treated at the scene and released. Manitoba Hydro is hiring 3 institutional safety officers to start training next week. They will be stationed at the Crown Corporation's downtown headquarters. The announcement comes after an employee was assaulted by a suspect with a knife last Friday. But Hydro and the province say the move to add the safety officers was well underway before the shocking incident. To explain, CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. Jeff, Hydro locked the doors to the public atrium following that assault. Have those doors been reopened yet?
No, the doors remain closed. As you can see behind me, there is a security guard there making sure nobody goes in and out. This while Hydro explores other security upgrades to the building's layout to make sure it's safe. Manitoba Hydro has announced some security upgrades for their downtown headquarters building following the assault of an employee in the public atrium.
This was a shocking event, that an act of violence like that right in what is essentially our workplace.
3 institutional safety officers are being hired and will start training next week to work at Hydro's HQ. Security guards are already stationed in the atrium. The ISOs have specialized training and carry handcuffs and pepper gel.
They have defensive weapons, and they have the authority and the ability to safely effect an arrest if necessary, whatever is necessary to maintain a safe situation.
This comes after a Hydro employee was assaulted by a man with a knife last Friday while leaving work. But the Crown Corporation and the province say the move to expand the safety officer program to Hydro was already in the works. A January 14th regulatory change allowed for the move. In previous years, ISOs started patrolling at the University of Manitoba and Health Sciences Centre. Beyond the 3 officers here at Hydro, there is also a plan to have more in place at other facilities to protect hydro infrastructure. Manitoba Justice has been in continual conversations across Manitoba around ways to expand the safety officer programs, said a spokesperson for the Justice Minister.
We support the rollout, starting with the 3 officers at Manitoba Hydro. But I know it is successful, in HSC.
And because of the assault, Hydro has locked the doors to the public at Manitoba Hydro Place for now, while it looks at other security changes to the building's layout.
When this building initially opened, this was intended as a public space, and it's operated as a public space for years. So we want to return to that to whatever extent is possible without compromising safety.
Police had said that an 18-year-old suspect is charged with possession of a weapon and assault with a weapon.
Jeff, are there plans to expand the program beyond Manitoba Hydro?
Yeah, it sure appears that way, that the institutional safety officers could expand to Manitoba Housing. That regulatory change we told you about also included Manitoba Housing.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. A city committee has decided against putting a time limit on school drop-offs and pickups. Yesterday, the Public Works Committee reviewed a motion which would mandate designated pickup and drop-off points for all city elementary schools with a strict 1-minute time limit for each vehicle. Public Works officials advised it wouldn't necessarily work, as some schools require parents to sign or walk their child in. They suggested working with the school community on behavioral changes, including recommending alternative modes of transportation. The committee voted to receive the motion as information, with Public Works officials further looking into ways to clear up school zone congestion. A plan to create an all-season road linking 3 northern First Nation communities is one step closer to reality tonight. An assessment by the federal government has concluded the proposed 141-kilometer road linking Manto Sipi Cree Nation, Bunny Cree Nation, and God's Lake First Nation is not likely to significantly disrupt the environment. That is if the project properly follows mitigation guidelines. And some of those measures include minimizing emissions and noise, managing any changes to water quality, and protecting species such as birds and fish. The feds note the project would be subject to oversight, and any proposed changes would need to be submitted and reviewed. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Pretty mild out there tonight, so mild you're tracking the potential of some rainfall.
Yeah, there's a little bit of rain picking up on the radar, not too far from Winnipeg. Snow too, but you can see right around the Winnipeg area, there's a little bit of rain. We could see some of that come through, not just here tonight, but other parts of southern Manitoba that had soaring temperatures. We got up to almost 4.5 degrees at the Forks, just over 3 degrees out at the airport. But other areas, well, they left Winnipeg in their dust. I'll show you how warm McCreary was. It was the warmest place in all of Manitoba. Absolutely soaring temperatures for February. Tomorrow, a different story. It will be colder, but it will be much sunnier too. The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfit, our exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, it is 2 degrees. It's cloudy, light winds out of the northeast at 10 kilometers an hour. The pressure's rising and the humidity right now is 85%.
Thanks, Colleen. A new poll finds nearly 3/4 of Manitobans are not confident they'd get needed medical care in an emergency. The Angus Reid Institute online survey shows a lack of confidence among 73% of Manitoba respondents. Nationally, 59% were not confident about timely care. 3 in 4 Manitobans also say health care has deteriorated in this province over the last 10 to 15 years. And 69% are dissatisfied with Manitoba's health care system. The online survey was conducted from November 26th to December 1st and has a margin of error of plus or minus 1.5 percentage points, 19 times out of 20. With work underway to boost housing across the province, a local advocacy group is calling on the government to create a new funding stream to help women and gender-diverse people secure a place to live. The Right to Housing Coalition says women and gender-diverse people face unique challenges when it comes to housing due to lower incomes and discrimination in the rental market, which is why it says the province should set up a fund to encourage new social housing, offer subsidies to keep rent affordable, and fund other tenant supports.
So there is funding for social housing, but we're asking to streamline the funding specifically for women and gender-diverse folks so that they're not left behind, so there's not a struggle for these folks to compete within those housing markets or social housing markets to find a safe place to stay.
CTV News has reached out to the province for a response. We're still waiting to hear back. Mayor Scott Gillingham is in Ottawa tonight, meeting with his counterparts from the other big cities. But last night, he had a chance to sit down with Prime Minister Mark Carney.
Our top priorities in Winnipeg, for sure, are the need to get federal funding commitments to fund the North End sewage plant, the third phase of that plant. We don't have a federal commitment on that third phase yet, and we need that. And we need the money to flow as quickly as possible.
Gillingham was among the 20 or so mayors who met with the Prime Minister. He says topics of conversation ranged from infrastructure funding, economic opportunities, and the defense sector to bail reform, extortion cases, and public safety. A woman from Opaskwayak Cree Nation is ready for takeoff.
There's no other feeling in the world when you accomplish your dream, and I'm living proof of that.
Kimberly Valentine is officially the first woman from her community to earn her commercial pilot's license. Valentine says it's a dream she's been building towards since falling in love with aviation as a child. But the journey to the skies was not an easy one. The single mom had to drop out of ground school 9 times due to funding. On her 10th attempt, she won a scholarship and in 2021 became the first woman from her community to get her private pilot's license. Now, she has some additional training to complete, but is hoping to eventually work for a Manitoba airline.
Once I began to learn more of what the airliners do for our northern communities, it made me that much more motivated to be part of it and to, exactly that, show others that Indigenous people belong in these positions as well. You just have to have the motivation and discipline to follow through because it's a lot of hard work.
Valentine hopes her story can inspire others, particularly Indigenous women, to pursue careers in the industry. And she'll be offering career advice at the Manitoba Aviation Conference and Career Fair on February 23rd through the 25th here in Winnipeg.
Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there.
Coming up, the latest on the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother as a ransom deadline looms. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil lost $1.85. The loonie also slipped a bit lower. Gold futures fell $61. The TSX dropped 576 points. The Dow Jones plunged 592 points, while the Nasdaq was down 364 points. Real estate sales are down, but the average price is up. The Winnipeg Real Estate Board says single-family home sales dropped 17% in January compared to the same time the year before. The average price rose 4% to just over $431,000. Condo prices also rose to an average of $275,000, while sales dropped 16%. Active home listings were also lower than those in January of 2025 and the 5-year average. The Prime Minister unveiled a new national auto strategy today. It includes an end to the electric vehicle mandate and the return of EV rebates. CTV's Rachel Aiello has the details.
A national auto strategy for the next generation. Today, the government unveiled a 5-pillar and multi-billion-dollar plan to protect jobs and reward companies making vehicles in Canada.
The future of the auto industry is increasingly electric and connected. And so to remain competitive and to realize our potential, we must develop the entire value chain for next generation vehicles.
To help Canadians afford them, starting February 16th, consumers who purchase electric vehicles will be eligible for a new rebate. The government is offering purchase or lease incentives of up to $5,000 for fully electric vehicles and up to $2,500 for plug-in hybrid models. There will be no price cap on Canadian-made cars, and only models coming from countries Canada has a free trade deal with will qualify if they cost less than $50,000. That means the rebate won't apply to Chinese EVs.
Today's announcement will directly support workers here in Ontario and across Canada.
Carney is also replacing the contentious EV sales mandate with new emission standards for future models, easing some of the pressure automakers are under.
This puts us on a path to greater electrification while giving industry the flexibility it needs during a very difficult time for the economy and for the sector.
Hopefully we can get to a point where we continue to be tariff-free.
And car dealers say they're ready to stock up.
It's certainly encouraging that we'll be able to pass on some savings directly to the consumer, especially in a time of higher prices on really everything.
Beyond affordability, this country's lacking EV infrastructure remains a barrier to Canadians pulling the plug on gas-powered vehicles. And so today, Carney also promised $1.5 billion to build up this country's roadside charging network. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, it was planned quite some time ago, but the opening of Canada's new diplomatic mission in Greenland tomorrow comes at a consequential time for the semi-autonomous territory. The consulate in the capital will be officially opened by Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, the Governor-General, and our Arctic Ambassador. Inuit from across the region will also be there in a show of solidarity with Greenlanders and a Canadian Coast Guard icebreaker who has been sent to display Ottawa's support for the island's territorial integrity. The diplomatic mission was planned more than a year before the recent American threats to acquire the Danish territory. Questions are being asked today about who a Conservative MP chatted with in Washington on his solo mission to the U.S. Capitol, and whether it was helpful in any way. CTV's Mike LeCouture reports.
Proof is in the pudding. The freestyle approach, I don't think serves us as a country.
Liberal cabinet ministers clearly skeptical that Conservative Jamil Jivani is making any progress on Canada-U.S. relations. That's despite a social media post from the Toronto area MP saying he had productive meetings with the White House and State Department, adding, "The president asked me to pass along a message. Tell Canadians I love them."
I'm here in Washington, D.C., where I've been having some very productive, promising, and positive conversations.
It's unclear if Jivani met with President Donald Trump or his longtime friend, Vice President J.D. Vance.
No matter if it's a governor, a senator, or congresspeople, or part of the administration, I think we have to continue on with the pressure. So the more people that can get down there and have a conversation, all the power to you.
It can only serve to undermine the efforts overall on behalf of the people of Canada.
This former advisor to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Canada-U.S. relations is concerned about Jivani's visit, and she says he needs to debrief when he returns.
We will need to make sure that ideally Mr. Jivani is feeding back some of the limited information that perhaps he has procured from his conversations with Americans back to our embassy in Washington, back to other key representatives.
It comes as former Prime Minister Stephen Harper is in Ottawa preaching a stronger stance in dealing with the U.S.
We cannot allow the obvious attempt to move Canadian manufacturing south of the border. One-way tariffs introduced by the U.S. must be reciprocated.
Well, Canada had removed a number of counter tariffs on the U.S. during the summer. Asked about Harper's suggestion, the finance minister said he thinks Canada has been playing its cards very well. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
The disappearance of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother has baffled police. There are no suspects or persons of interest, but authorities in Arizona are not giving up hope of finding her.
This entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you. We really just want Mom back, okay? Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home.
Nancy Guthrie was last seen Saturday night. Investigators think she was taken from her home in Tucson against her will. There is also concern because the 84-year-old has heart issues and needs medication. A ransom note demands money with a deadline set for tonight. There's also a second one for Monday if the first deadline isn't met. A $50,000 reward is being offered for credible information about the abduction. From Winnipeg to the world stage, another Manitoban is heading to the Winter Olympics.
A cloudy but mild weekend ahead for Winnipeg. Saturday and Sunday, both days cloudy, but a high of -6 on Saturday, all the way up to -1 on Sunday. You see very reasonably mild overnight lows for this time of year. Monday, again, still cloudy, -1 degree, so still mild. Still cloudy and mild Tuesday, -6 degrees. A bit more sunshine by the midweek with a high of -7.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
Setbacks are ready for some members of Team Canada gearing up to chase gold at the Winter Olympics in Milan. Today's women's hockey game was postponed, and some events will go ahead without star athletes. CTV's Heather Butts has the details.
An alarming image of Mark McMorris following a crash yesterday in training. The 32-year-old three-time Olympic medalist confirming he hit his head and will not compete in the big air competition. In a statement, McMorris said, "Fortunately, things are looking good for slopestyle, so I'm staying positive and shifting my focus there." Snowboarder Tess Critchlow has already had to withdraw due to injury, and Canada has had to swap out athletes in men's hockey and figure skating in the team event because of injury.
For those who've been injured and unable to compete, I feel for them first and foremost, and therefore give them as much support to see if they can compete in the case of those where it's questionable.
Facing these early obstacles, there's also questions over how the Olympic team is preparing to handle competing against the Americans at a time of heightened tensions between the countries.
The rivalry with the United States is one that's decades and decades old in sport, and yet I think there's a little bit more riding on it.
That rivalry most anticipated on the ice, where it will be a monumental year for hockey, marking the return of NHL players in the men's tournament for the first time since 2014. Combine that with the first winter game since the Professional Women's Hockey League launched, putting a spotlight on an extraordinary depth of international talent.
This is an immensely talented team, and they're in their final preparations. And very soon we will see them walking into opening ceremonies to show the world just what Canadian excellence looks like.
While Team Canada battles injuries, Finland is dealing with illness. The two countries were supposed to face off today in women's hockey, but the game was postponed as the Finns battle the norovirus. Team Canada's first game will now be against Switzerland on Saturday. Heather Butts, CTV News, Milan.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with your complete Skywatch forecast. Tracking some rain tonight, a sign of mild temperatures. How long are they sticking around?
Well, for a few hours, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I showed you temperatures are going to be quite mild on the weekend, but we have to go through tomorrow. Tomorrow will be considerably colder. The trade-off, though, it will be sunny in many parts of the province, including here in Winnipeg. But I'll show you some current temperatures right now. It is still pretty mild out there in southern Manitoba. I mentioned McCreary, Manitoba earlier today, the warmest place in the province. The highest temperature there, 8.7 degrees. A lot of other communities in the south got in that 4 to 6 degree range. Here in Winnipeg, as I mentioned, almost 4.5 degrees at the Forks. Was it record-breaking? Well, no, not even close. But we set the record for this day not that many years ago. I will show you that coming up. I'll show you this right now, the snow and the rain that is falling in the vicinity of Winnipeg, but not over the entire city. You can see by the looks of it, if you're in the northern part of Winnipeg, pushing closer toward downtown and over into east parts of the city, you might be seeing both rain and snow or outright just rain. Snow continuing to fall to the east of the city and over the border into northwestern Ontario. Snow will continue there for the next several hours. It should be out of your way by morning, though. In Kenora, it's 0. But take a look at this. Back into Manitoba, above freezing and change. Look at this. 2 in Winnipeg, 5 in Morden, Winkler, and Melita, 4 in Brandon, 3 in Portage after getting to 6 degrees there. Now, as the temperatures were soaring here in the south, they were falling in the north today. Temperatures in the minus 20s for the most part, although Flin Flon and the Paw minus 12 and minus 10 degrees. Now we have this low out over Saskatchewan that is sending all this precipitation out in front of it our way here in Manitoba. So you see it slumps over the next few hours. So don't be surprised if you see a mix of rain showers or snow showers tapering to flurries at least this evening. Overnight it will start to move out. But mind you, in the north, it'll be clearer first, and then by morning, most of the province will be on the clear side, setting at the stage for a sunny day tomorrow, albeit considerably colder than today. Also sunshine into northwestern Ontario. By Friday evening, it looks like a little bit of snow starts to pop over into west central parts of the province, but then it starts to move across more northern sections through the Interlake and then down into northwestern Ontario by Saturday morning. We're cloudy here in the south on Saturday morning, and once again, temperatures will rebound. Very mild for this time of year. So for tonight, we drop down to minus 16 degrees again with the possibility of rain showers or snow showers, tapering to flurries likely later. The bulk of this will happen in the evening, overnight. Some clearing, particularly closer to morning when we drop down to minus 16 degrees. But you saw those strong north winds developing overnight. They'll be strong through the commute, and then over the course of the day, they diminish. But minus 15, mainly sunny in the morning, and then the temperature is going to bounce around that minus 15, minus 16 degree mark. So holding steady basically possibly from tonight's overnight low. Up in the northeast tonight, fairly clear for Churchill, Gillingham and Thompson. Those areas down to -29, -30 degrees. A little bit of light snow for Island Lake. Bright and sunny around the region tomorrow. Temperatures in the -20s. In the northwest tonight, some light snow still falling in Norway House, dropping to -26 there. Partly cloudy for the rest of the region. Sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures around -17 degrees for OCN and the Paw and Flin Flon. A few flurries tonight for Brandon and the Neepawa area, dropping down to -15 overnight, -17 for Dauphin and Swan River. You might see some rain showers and flurries there too yet tonight. A mix of sun and cloud or cloudy skies, -13, -14 in the southwest. Winnipeg in the southeast tonight, again, there's that possibility of rain showers or snow showers. And sunny tomorrow with highs in the mid-minus teens, -15 through -17 degrees for much of us. Light snow tonight in northwestern Ontario, and then tomorrow sunny and windy. Fort Francis, your temperatures will fall to -14 in the afternoon. Kenora, -14 is your high. Our first weather photo takes us up to Norway House. That photo was taken by Len. And then here in the Gilbert Plains area, that photo is from Claudette of that beautiful morning sunrise. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. Another Manitoban will be suiting up for Team Canada. Winnipeg's Seth Jarvis is joining the men's hockey team. He's racked up 256 points in 352 career NHL games with the Carolina Hurricanes. Jarvis previously played for Team Canada in last year's Four Nations Cup. He's replacing, Braden Point on the Olympic roster, who's unable to participate due to an injury. Team Canada will kick off its quest for gold a week from today against Czechia. And a big honor tomorrow for Nino Niederreiter at the Winter Olympics. The Winnipeg Jets forward has been named a flag bearer for Switzerland at the opening ceremony.
Hallo zusammen, hier ist der Nino Niederreiter. Es ist mir eine riesige Ehre und ein unglaubliches Privileg, dass ich die Schweiz als Fahnenträger bei den Olympischen Winterspielen in Milano Cortina vertreten.
The 33-year-old is one of 10 NHL players on Switzerland's roster. He suited up for the Swiss back in 2014 Sochi Olympics as well. The last time NHL players participated in the Winter Games. Now, the winger has 8 goals and 19 points in his 3rd season as a Winnipeg Jet. Niederreiter played his 1,000th NHL game earlier this year.
Auditory or visual hallucinations, seeing or hearing things that aren't there. People can also have intense paranoia.
A troubling trend in mental health coming up. A new study reveals a rise in psychosis rates among young people. If you're planning a winter escape to Cuba, the federal government wants you to exercise a high degree of caution. This as that country faces worsening shortage of electricity, fuel, and basic necessities, even at major resorts. To help us better understand what this all means, Marty Firestone, president of Travel Secure Inc., joins me now. Marty, good to speak with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
For those with a trip booked right now, maybe, set to leave next week, how worried should they be about this?
I can give them one good piece of advice. If they are out non-refundable dollars, they should, if they can, purchase cancellation and interruption insurance. If for no other reason, in case the situation deteriorates further and Canada ever moves up to a level 3 travel advisory to avoid all non-essential travel, that will be the one mechanism to get them their monies back. So that's one key message I can pass on to you.
And that's really important here because we are currently at level 2, which doesn't trigger insurance to kick in, as I understand, right?
You are 100% correct.
What are you hearing from Canadians in Cuba right now or, recently?
Well, it's very interesting. My only exposure was during Christmas. Some clients came back with fevers, headaches, that there was talk about airborne viruses through mosquitoes. That's not even on the table right now with the reasons as to why they called the level 2. As far as the blackouts, I've heard that they are sporadic. As far as food, medication, things like that, fuel, oil, gas, yes, that's all apparent, and that's what they're talking about. My biggest fear, however, is that they're not just saying that's in Havana, in the streets of that area. It's resorts. And when you talk resorts, you're talking about everybody who's going on those all-inclusive vacations.
All right. The key point is if you can get that emergency insurance now in case the situation deteriorates. But with those that have trips booked and are still planning to go in the meantime, how should they best prepare? What's your advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, if they're intent on still going, then of course things like taking copies of your passport, of your birth certificate, any documentation, because remember, we take it for granted, everything we keep on our phones, but if there's a power outage and your phone goes dead, the phone is useless for you. Again, things like medication, extra clothes if you're staying longer. I mean, we don't really know what to expect. The travel advisory is just to tell you what is going on, what could go on, and what it could deteriorate to, and that's the scary part. So be prepared. Again, if the decision is I'm going regardless of the travel advisory, short of a level 3, then just be prepared with some things that I had just mentioned.
Would you recommend travel to Cuba right now?
You know, if you're asking me, would I personally go? The answer would be no. But having said that, the people that are being talked to, are being interviewed, are saying it's wonderful. They go every year. They understand these things may happen. The Cuban people, wonderful. They're welcoming Canadians, and their attitude is we're still going to go. I think that's okay. As long as you expect that there could be some issues, then go and enjoy yourself.
We know winters are long here in Canada, and we do need winter escapes. So any alternatives you could suggest for, people looking to escape winter here in Canada?
You know, not being a travel agent, I can only suggest that what is the attraction here besides the country being what people are saying is a wonderful country, is it's inexpensive. So the trouble is once you move off of that and go to the Mexicos, the St. Martins, the Dominican Republics, Cancun's, Puerto Vallarta, you're getting into higher dollars, and maybe that's, something that someone does not want to spend. So Cuba seems to hit the right spot for people who want to spend a certain amount in their budget.
Yeah, it definitely is popular with Canadians. Marty, we appreciate the advice tonight. Great speaking with you.
Thank you for having me.
Canada is among a number of countries being urged to do more to combat an increase in measles by an international health group. The Pan American Health Organization urges several countries in North and South America, including Canada, to intensify vaccination and surveillance for the infection. The organization says it's issued an alert over a sustained increase in measles cases. Canada saw more than 5,400 measles cases in 2025, according to Health Canada. McMaster Children's Hospital in Ontario says helmets should be worn while tobogganing, citing concerns about head injuries. The hospital says it saw multiple incidents in January where children suffered traumatic injuries after sledding into trees. Head injuries were the most common and concerning because they can lead to lasting brain damage or cognitive difficulties. Researchers say children between the ages of 6 and 10 experienced the highest proportion of injuries. A new study is showing how rates of psychosis are increasing in recent generations. CTV's Pauline Chan has the details and the implications.
The study looked at more than 12 million people born in Ontario between 1960 and 2009, of whom 152,587 were diagnosed with a psychotic disorder like schizophrenia.
Auditory or visual hallucinations, seeing or hearing things that aren't there. People can also have intense paranoia. So they might think that people are out to get them.
The findings?
More recent birth cohorts seem to be experiencing an earlier age of diagnosis of psychosis and schizophrenia, and actually cumulatively more of it.
And Dr. Daniel Myron says the increase is striking.
What proportion of the generation or the birth cohort has been diagnosed with schizophrenia by age 30? And that's up almost 40%.
Some of the reasons behind this? Myron says the age of birth parents is rising, and that's known to be an increased risk factor for psychosis.
There's been a large rise in opioids and synthetic stimulants like methamphetamines and cannabis and the potency of cannabis, and more recently interest in hallucinogens.
And increasing urban populations.
People living in more urban centers or more dense places, and for reasons that are not fully understood, seem to have a higher rate of psychotic disorders.
Psychotic disorders are relatively rare, affecting about 2% of the population, but the impact is wide-reaching.
People who have a chronic psychotic disorder have a reduced life expectancy. They have profound implications for their social interactions, for their work.
And patients require frequent, regular contact with the healthcare system.
And, that's compounded on a mental health system in Canada that generally is, under-resourced.
The good thing, says Myron, is that early diagnosis is improving. And in Ontario, the growth of early intervention programs for psychosis has led to some 50 clinics in the province, adding that further research is needed. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
A thrilling whodunit with the WSO. We get a sneak peek of the murder mystery next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting American rock legends.
The Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra is on the case of a murder mystery. Murdoch Mysteries Murder in F Major will fuse a thrilling whodunit with a live WSO performance on Saturday evening. It invites the audience inside the musical side of Canada's longest-running television drama, featuring original themes composed for the series, as well as classical works associated with the show. It culminates with a screening of the title episode.
I have a special monitor that gives me kind of time codes and flashes and pops and clicks and all kinds of things. And basically I have to make sure that we're lining up the whole soundtrack exactly with what happens in the film.
Fans can also participate in a post-concert meet and greet with Murdoch Mystery star Daniel Maslany. The WSO will also perform a musical love letter to Paris with Jill Barber Friday night. At last check, a very limited number of tickets were available for both shows through the WSO's box office. Fans of Canadian pop star Tate McCrae are asking whose side is she on after McCrae appeared in a Winter Olympics promo for NBC and Team USA.
I'm nobody. Nobody's girl, that is.
This is part of the commercial in which she promotes coverage of American athletes and the Super Bowl. What it doesn't mention is Team Canada, and that is not sitting well with some of her fans who are calling her Tate McCrae. The singer has responded to the backlash, sharing this childhood photo on Instagram. In it, she's holding a Canadian flag, and the message reads, "Y'all know I'm Canada down." As he prepares to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, Bad Bunny has made a high-profile deal in the world of podcasting. Bad Bunny is the co-owner of an athlete management agency dedicated to boosting Latin American athletes. The company, Remus Sports, has now reached a deal with iHeartMedia to create podcasts and other content. It's set to launch with a podcast featuring MLB Comeback Player of the Year, the Atlanta Braves' Ronald Acuna Jr. Bad Bunny is set to take the stage at Sunday's halftime show in Santa Clara, California at the Super Bowl, 1 week after winning the Grammy for Album of the Year. Well, if you're a fan of Doctor Who, there is some memorabilia about to hit the auction block. You can get your hands on a number of items from the British sci-fi show over the next 2 weeks. Doctor Who is 60 years old, which means there are a lot of props. One of the highlights, a light-up sonic screwdriver. 20% of the auction's proceeds will go to the BBC Children in Need charity. An unlikely movie villain has become the face of Lunar New Year celebrations in China.
This is Crab and Goyle, and I'm Malfoy. Draco Malfoy.
Images of Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter franchise keep popping up ahead of the Year of the Horse. Now, reportedly, this is because the Mandarin translation of his surname Malfoy roughly sounds like the words for horse and fortune. Red posters with well-wishing messages are typical decorations for the annual celebration, but this year, many feature the grin of the infamous Hogwarts bully played by Tom Felton. Your Thursday primetime lineup starts at 7 with Next Level Chef. Celebrity Wheel of Fortune is at 8. Catch The Big Bang Theory at 9. And closing out the night, Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
It completely blew up, and I have no idea why.
A love letter to Fisher River. Why people around the world are sending Valentines to the school in the Manitoba community.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
2 degrees out there, cloudy in some parts of the city. Perhaps it's a little rainy in others. Winds out of the northeast at 10 kilometers an hour. Tonight we'll drop down to -16. Now along the way, as the temperatures start to fall back below freezing, we could see flurries. Now watch out now, because it's been wet during the day. Well, at times it could get quite slippery out there tonight and tomorrow. Sunny tomorrow, -14. Mild, cloudy on the weekend. Mild conditions continue next week.
Thanks, Colleen. A grade 1 class at Charles Sinclair School in Fisher River is feeling the love from Canada and other parts of the world.
It completely blew up, and I have no idea why.
Teacher Shekinah Patterson sent out a social media request asking people to send Valentines to her students. It's all part of a social studies unit about Canada and our connection to community and the world. And guess what? The response was immediate, with people in Alberta, New Brunswick, Sweden, Australia, and Europe mailing or emailing a card to the class.
All last week, I felt like my head was spinning, because it's not just me that's super pumped, and I'm like, how am I going to teach these kids about how big this is, how big this got, unintentionally, and we have no idea, or what it will turn into and what it has turned into. We never could have guessed.
Well, she figured out a pretty cool way. You're looking at it right now.
Awesome.
Patterson created this map and put pins showing where each one of those cards came from. The class, by the way, is also returning a Valentine card to each sender in Cree with an English translation. So pretty cool experience for everyone involved.
That map is so smart. Good for all of us, too. Yeah.
If anybody's watching tonight that hasn't sent one,
cards.
get one to the school. Yeah, be part of it. All right, have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.